candidate Ron Johnson gets a major endorsement, what it could mean for his campaign ahead of the midterm election. And we'll see how a local chef is working to change the way we think about hospital food. You're watching News 3 Now at 5. We have a weather alert in the forecast beginning tonight.
Some areas are under a frost advisory. Julian Seawright on the weather patio with more. Julian?
That's right, Susan and Eric. We are under an alert day because we are looking for a frost advisory to go into effect midnight tonight into 8 in the morning for our Wednesday. Now, taking a look at the details of what we're going to be seeing for us, we are looking for areas between Dane County and to the west to be under this frost advisory for us between the timeline of, once again, midnight into 8 in the morning for Wednesday. Now, we're looking at temperatures to drop into the mid-30s for many of us, and it's going to be one of the first frost formations of the season thus far, but we are also going to be watching for our Wednesday nights into our Thursday morning for potential more frost advisories. As we're going to be looking at, once again, the highlighted colors on your screen are the areas that are under the frost advisory that will be issued from midnight until 8 in the morning for our Wednesday. Now, planning out tonight, again, this is a look at the temperatures that will be dropping into those mid-30s, and even some areas are going to be a bit on the colder side, especially to the northwest, which we're looking at 29 degrees for Black River Falls and even 31 for Camp Douglas. Temperatures currently into the 50s as of right now, but those breezy winds are keeping things rather chilly as we're getting into the rest of our evening. Now, let's take a look. We're going to take a look at what else to expect coming up in a few moments and even have a preview of what to expect with Hurricane Ian in just a few moments. Until then, back to you guys.
Julian, thank you. Some Ukrainians and Afghans living in Wisconsin for months now can't legally work. Senator Tammy Baldwin is calling on the feds to fix some major work permit backlogs to fix that.
Investigative reporter Naomi Coles has been leading our coverage on this issue, and she followed up with Senator Baldwin today. Naomi?
Senator Baldwin cites our reporting in the letter to the director of the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, calling on them to immediately address wait times for work permits, averaging 7 months long. I talked with 2 Ukrainian families in Stoughton about this a few weeks ago. Both families were frustrated by multiple attempts to push their permits through. Dane County officials told me there were many more in a similar situation. Senator Baldwin has tried to step in on behalf of local families with limited success.
We can do as a Senate office is request an expedite, citing significant circumstances that try to speed up the process. The problem we're finding literally is their response is everybody has a need to be able to support themselves. So this isn't a particularly unusual situation. Well, that doesn't do it for me.
She's banding together with other senators to support additional funding for the agency in the next fiscal year and says she'll be following up with them, asking for additional reports. This applies not just to Ukrainians, but Afghans who have been here in Wisconsin for more than a year, still with no work permit.
Naomi, thank you. Florida residents are bracing for Hurricane Ian, which is expected to hit the state sometime tomorrow. The powerful storm is expected to get stronger over the next few hours. Right now, at least 2.5 million people are under evacuation orders. Gloria Pazmino has the latest from Tampa.
Hurricane Ian, still on track to be the first major hurricane to make landfall in the U.S. this year. After slamming into Cuba Tuesday morning, Ian is now expected to bring a life-threatening storm surge to Florida's west coast. And for the first time in more than 100 years, Tampa could get a direct hit.
A slow-moving storm right off of our coast, which is going to bring a devastating amount of water to the Tampa Bay area.
Schools are closing and flights are canceled. Evacuations are underway. Residents are boarding up homes and businesses.
We got to board up the windows still and try and cover up these windows, the door. We still have to sandbag our door after we put some spray foam to keep the water out.
Mike Jackson's store in Gulfport flooded from Hurricane Eta in November 2020. He says he's extremely worried that will happen again or worse.
It was kind of a mess, but we'll get past it again.
Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis warning those who are in the storm's path they could lose power for more than just a few days.
The worst thing is when you lose power. So you've got no power, no water. So, yeah, I recommend have plenty of water, even if it's for a few days. So we're battening down the hatches.
In Tampa, Florida, I'm Gloria Pasmino reporting.
And Julian joins us again with a closer look at Hurricane Ian's current path. Julian?
That's right, and we're going to start with just seeing the warnings and watches in itself for southern Florida. As we take a look, we are seeing tropical storm warnings and even hurricane warnings, which are really impacting a lot of the areas that are onto the red in your screen. Now, as of right now, Hurricane Ian is a Category 3, but as they mentioned in the package, it is a slow-moving storm, so it's going to be bringing not just torrential but devastating amounts of rainfall to the western side of Florida and many areas near Tampa Bay. But as we get into about Wednesday afternoon is when we're going to be expecting for Ian to make landfall for those areas, especially coming onto the coast at around Category 4, but then we'll start to weaken by the time we get into our Thursday afternoon and evening. But outside of that, we're still going to be looking at this to be quite a devastating storm in itself, and our thoughts and prayers are for those that are on the path of Hurricane Ian as well. That's going to do it for our hurricane updates. Back to you, Susan.
All right, Julian, thank you so much. We'll continue to follow it very, very closely. Meanwhile, the American Red Cross is urging Florida communities to listen to local officials.
And that includes evacuating immediately if asked to do so. Significant river flooding likely across the central part of Florida, and in preparation, the Red Cross has moved hundreds of trained volunteers and tens of thousands of relief supplies from across the country down to Florida. Volunteers are also opening dozens of shelters to make sure people have a safe place to ride out the storm. And airlines have canceled over 1,000 flights this week, but the storm isn't stopping NOAA hurricane hunters from getting up close and personal with Hurricane Ian. So take a look at this. Researchers with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration flying into the hurricane right over the Caribbean this morning. They say the flight helped them take measurements that satellites cannot make. And those measurements, like wind speeds, were then sent to forecasters in real time. Those aboard the plane said wind speeds were so strong it felt like being a feather in the wind.
Today, the judge presiding over the trial of Darrell Brooks delayed a decision about whether Brooks will represent himself. The Waukesha parade attack trial is scheduled to begin next week. Last week, Brooks indicated he wanted to remove his legal team to enable him to represent himself. During today's hearing, Brooks stated he wanted to represent himself as a sovereign citizen, but he didn't seem to understand that his lawyers would not be able to advise him on the case if allowed to do so.
If I allow them to withdraw, you lose their legal experience, their specialized training, right? Their education, their work as attorneys. Do you understand that?
No, I do not understand.
So if you are allowed to represent yourself in this case, sir, you will not have attorneys assisting you. If I let them withdraw, they are gone from this case. Do you understand that?
I think I will probably be better served representing myself.
Waukesha County Circuit Court Judge Jennifer Doro will make the decision at the next hearing, which is scheduled for tomorrow at 1 p.m. Brooks is accused of killing 6 people and injuring dozens of others after driving his SUV through the parade last November.
A Madison resident is dead. Another hurt after a crash. This happened in Nebraska yesterday in Ogallala. Nebraska State Patrol said the two were heading west when an eastbound vehicle hit them after crossing the center line. 74-year-old Anka Boudreaux, the passenger of the car, was pronounced dead at the scene. The 77-year-old driver of Boudreaux's car and the 64-year-old driver of the other vehicle were both hospitalized with serious injuries. The Milwaukee Police Association is endorsing Ron Johnson in the U.S. Senate race, and this comes amid traded jabs between Johnson and challenger Mandela Barnes on the issue of police and crime. Political reporter Will Keneally joins us with more. Will?
So for Ron Johnson, he's touting the endorsement and his record of supporting law enforcement. And he says he supports getting law enforcement the tools that they need, which he says marks a stark contrast between him and Barnes, who he says wants to defund the police. But critics on the left say Johnson is the one that wants to defund the police. But he rejected those claims today.
It's rare, I would say never happens, where you voting simply on a bill to fund the police. Were that the case, I'd be voting for all of them. Like I vote for defense spending, because those are top priorities of government. Keep our nation safe, keep our communities safe.
Johnson also took a shot at Barnes over his rhetoric, which he says ratcheted up tensions during the Kenosha riots in 2020. For its part, the Barnes campaign says Johnson's record speaks for itself. In a statement today, a spokesperson says that Johnson, quote, defended the criminals whose insurrection injured 140 police officers on January 6th, voted against increasing police funding through his 12 years in the U.S. Senate.
Well, thank you. Protests and demonstrations are growing across the globe for a woman killed in police custody in Iran. 22-year-old Mahsa Amini was arrested 2 weeks ago for allegedly wearing her headscarf too loosely. Her cousin says the protesters want regime change in Iran in order to live freely. More than 1,200 people have been arrested, and Iran's president warns protesters will be dealt with, quote, decisively. Meanwhile, the Biden administration is imposing sanctions on Iran's morality police and is taking steps to support internet freedom as the Iranian government imposes online shutdowns.
Iran must end its use of violence against women for exercising their fundamental freedoms. There must be accountability for Mahsa's death.
Faced with increasing criticism, Tehran is accusing the United States of using the unrest to try to destabilize its country. Canada is the latest country to announce new sanctions against Iran over its human rights positions.
Today, President Biden touted his administration's plan to bring down health care costs for seniors, and that includes lowering premiums for millions of Medicare recipients starting next year. According to the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, the standard monthly premium for Medicare Part B in 2023 will decrease by more than $5, while next year's annual deductible will be $7 lower. The president also highlighted the Inflation Reduction Act, which caps out-of-pocket costs for seniors on insulin and prescription drugs. President Biden also vowed to continue the fight to lower insulin costs for all Americans, not just Medicare beneficiaries. Coming up, Julian has more on a weather alert day that could bring an early frost to some area communities. Plus, how a local chef is changing the way we look at hospital food. That's next at 5.
And later, did you lose your sense of smell after contracting COVID-19? There may be a way to get it back. We'll have details tonight at 6.
And checking the markets, recession fears drive a 6th straight day of red numbers for the Dow and S&P. The Dow off 126 more. The NASDAQ gains more than 26. S&P lost almost 8. We'll be right back.
Vitense Golfland offers 2 golf and multi-sport simulator suites. Play great golf courses with unmatched viewing clarity. Play different sports such as football and soccer. Have fun with Zombie Ball. Vitense Golfland provides simulator fun for everyone.
It's dangerous up here, and it's no fun shopping around for a reputable contractor. I've built my company on the promise to treat our customers like we would our own family. That means an honest, no-pressure sales experience, expert craftsmanship, and a lifetime guarantee of our work. We know Gutter Shutter is the best system for you and your home, and we love to show you how it can keep you safe and off that ladder forever. So call us or visit us online to set up your free estimate, and we can show you what Gutter Shutter and the Larson Home Experience is all about.
I'm Ken Pearrett, and this is my John Deere. We run about 3,000 acres of crop ground and 100 head of beef cattle. Number one thing that stands out when it comes to Sloan's is service. And we had some issues with the new ExactEmerge planter, and Kyle himself, the store manager, and one of the lead mechanics on the planters, came down on a Sunday afternoon, and they got us going. And that's going above and beyond. And that's why I think Sloan's first.
Ron Johnson's at it again, lying about my taxes. Let's be clear, my taxes are paid in full. But there were times I was getting by on peanut butter sandwiches. And that's why I support a tax cut for the middle class. Put more money in your pockets. Because I know how hard you work. But Johnson used his Senate seat to write a loophole that gave huge tax cuts to himself and his biggest donors, leaving us with crumbs. And that's how we get left behind. I'm Mandela Barnes, and I approve this message.
Save big money with 11% off everything at Menards, including all Suncast storage sheds. Keep your outdoor tools, supplies, and valuables secure and protected. The 8-foot by 10-foot Tremont outdoor shed is low maintenance and has reinforced construction for added strength and stability, while the hinges and lockable handles add extra security. All Suncast storage sheds are 11% off right now at Menards.
Save big money
Vitense Golfland offers 2 golf and multi-sport simulator suites. Play great golf courses with unmatched viewing clarity. Play different sports such as football and soccer. Have fun with Zombie Ball. Vitense Golfland provides simulator fun for everyone.
Providing for patients and the community. The hospital utilizes its natural resources to feed all. News 3 Now showcases the bountiful garden. And 7 cyclists make a trek to help with transplants. We speak with the writers about the importance of their journey. That's tonight at 6.
As political ads bombard you with campaign promises and claims to capture your vote, News 3 Now gives you a reality check, clarifying the candidates' messages and finding the facts to help you make informed choices. Reality Check, Wednesdays on News 3 Now at 6. You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
Well, here's a question for you. When is the last time you had fresh Hawaiian pork or Mediterranean salmon at a hospital? Those are actual menu options for patients in Rock County. Andrew Banster went to Edgerton today to find out how they're doing it. Andrew?
It took 2 big changes, a new chef and a new garden, to turn his culinary vision into reality. When Joshua Shafulo arrived at Edgerton Hospital, most of the food he had to work with was either canned or frozen. Now he makes 85% of his meals from scratch. Joshua noticed an empty terrace outside the cafe and kitchen, and this May he turned it into his own garden. They grow hundreds of pounds of produce, sprouting more than 50 types of vegetables and spices. It allows for a farm-to-table approach that the hospital thinks is making a big difference with patients. The hospital's goal is to nurse people back to health, and this terrace-to-table approach has people tasting the difference.
Believe me, we get a lot of compliments saying that, you know what, I would have never thought this would have been hospital food. I felt like I'm out in a real 5-star dining restaurant.
While patients may dread hospital food when they arrive, Joshua says by the time they check out, they don't want to leave. He reminds them that the cafe is open to the community. The hospital tells me people oftentimes look forward to coming into their procedures and follow-ups now purely because they can stop by the cafe for Joshua's food.
Andrew, thank you. And let's get a look at your certified most accurate weather. Julian Searide has your forecast. Julian?
Well, we got to start off with our alert data, which is in the forecast, not only just for tonight's, but for our Wednesday morning, Wednesday night, and for our Thursday, folks. We're looking at our first couple of days of our first season's areas of frost for us. Again, we're going to be looking at temperatures to drop between the mid-30s for us, which is going to develop the formation of frost for many areas here in southern Wisconsin, starting in for Dane County and areas just to the north and for the south and over towards the west. As we're going to be looking at it to go into effect from midnight tonight into our 8 in the morning for our Wednesday. Now, taking a look at just some first frost facts. Well, our earliest first frost was back in September 12th in 1955, and our average first frost is typically around October 1st, with our latest first frost mainly in November 12th in 1946. So let's go ahead and plan out the rest of this evening. What are things going to be like for us? Well, still on the cooler side. The temperatures will be in the lower 50s, and then we're going to see those 40s really hold firm by the time we get into the early nightly hours, and then we're going to drop into those mid-30s overnight. We're seeing many of us from Madison, Janesville, and even for Platteville into the lower 30s, even though Janesville will be into the lower 40s, which is why they're not into the frost advisory. Areas just to the west are going to be holding on to those mid-30s. And it's even colder for our friends at Camp Douglas and Black River Falls, which are going to be below the freezing point. Now, as we take a look at what else to expect for us, we're not going to see much in terms of precipitation, but the cloud cover that has been lingering throughout the course of the day will start to give some way, which is why we're going to see temperatures really start to drop by the overnight hours. So as you're heading out the door tomorrow, getting ready to go to work, or for the kids going to school, it is going to be a chilly one. Upper 30s for many of us and mid-30s as well. We're going to see a little bit of improvement by the time we get into the afternoon hours around lunchtime, but again, it's just a little bit of improvement. We're looking for it to be very similar to what it was for today, as temperatures will be into the lower to mid-50s by the time we get into our afternoon and our evening hours. But the good news is we're looking for plenty of sunshine to stick around for us throughout the course of our Wednesday. Transitioning into Thursday, again, we're going to see temperatures drop into the frost point, which is going to be the mid-30s for many of us here in southern Wisconsin. So be prepared for another frost advisory as we gear up into our Wednesday night, into our overnight hours for Thursday morning. Outside of that, we are still looking for a chilly start, but temperatures will start to improve by the time we get into our Thursday afternoon, as we are looking for a wave of a bit of milder weather moving its way into the upper Midwest, giving us temperatures back into the 60s as we get into our Thursday afternoon. So best advice is just hold on if you don't really like the cool this early into the year. We're looking for milder temperatures to trend upwards by the time we get into our Thursday. We are staying rather dry though, folks. For the first time, if things hold out in 8 weeks or weekends, we're going to be looking at a dry weekend for us. Plenty of sunshine and temperatures into the upper 60s. It's definitely something of a dream because we haven't had that in quite a while. Outside of that, here's a look at our traffic. Things are just a little bit on the slower side, eastbound onto the Beltline, but outside of that, rather smooth, and especially for the interstate, where north and south are still onto the green side. It's going to do it for our weather and traffic update. Over to you guys.
Julian, thank you. At the Capitol today, local officials called on the Biden administration to do more about pollution. They applauded his efforts so far with recent federal infrastructure money, but want to see more happen through executive action.
There is more work to do. The city of Madison stands ready to do that work with the state government and with the federal government. We are committed to the defining issue of our time, which is our climate.
Madison State Senator Kelda Roys also spoke, calling the city a world leader on pollution. Just ahead, after a rough summer for airlines, the White House demanding some changes. We'll have the story coming up.
News 3 Now First Warn Weather is brought to you by Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor.
Discover a shopping and design experience as comfortable as the furniture. Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor. Schedule your free design consultation today.
The house before you, over 30 years old, still has its original window. It's bone chilling.
There's no need to be afraid of old windows. Just call Feldco for 50% off.
It's the biggest sale of the season. 50% off Feldco windows, plus no interest until 2024.
50% off windows ends soon. Call now.
For quality windows, siding, and doors, call 866 for Feldco.
Raising healthy children takes a village, and kids thrive when their village is healthy too.
SSM Health and News 3 Now are helping you unlock a healthier world with our Time for Kids Keys to Health campaign. We'll show you how sustainable choices create healthier lifestyles, explore the impacts of food security on families,
and share ways we can help build a healthy community together. So join us on air, online, and in your village.
And take time for kids.
You heard the Jingle Man, Wisconsin. That means it's time to get a versatile, rugged, athletic SUV that makes you feel like you just won a title. Again. Honda was just crowned KBB.com's best value brand for the 7th year in a row. So get up and go to your Wisconsin Heartland Honda dealer today. Honda gets Wisconsin. Bring it home, Songbird.
Get up and go!
It's our biggest sale of the year. Get back to your health and fitness goals by joining Anytime Fitness for just $1 now through October 7th. Let us help you turn no I can't into yes I can. Now through October 7th, join Anytime Fitness for just $1. Hurry in today.
Keep bragging about your buck after the hunt with wild game processing from Johnson's Sausage Shop in Ryle, Wisconsin. Friends enjoy a hunting story more over a jalapeno cheddar stick. Johnson's Sausage Shop accepts wild game 7 days a week. First bucks in are the first brats out.
Wells Fargo lets you know where you stand with your FICO credit score. What if you knew where you stood with everything, like your future in-laws?
Hope you like cats.
I hope your parents like me. They're whispering.
The kitties like her.
Oh, can they tell I'm allergic?
Tears of joy.
Welcome to the family.
Like knowing where you stand? When it comes to your credit score, you can with Wells Fargo.
The radical left
hate America and riot in our streets. They indoctrinate our children to hate America, stoking fear and envy with their lies and deceptions. Their radical woke agenda and divisive politics are tearing our country apart. Here's Mandela Barnes.
Because the founding of this nation, awful.
Mandela Barnes is a radical leftist. He supports their woke agenda that's causing you and your family so much pain.
I'm Ron Johnson, and I approve this message.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
Welcome back. Hertz and BP will team up to build thousands of electric vehicle charging stations nationwide. It's a big step to get more EVs on our roadways. BP has previously said it wants 100,000 chargers globally by the end of the decade. Hertz wants a quarter of its rental fleet running on electric by 2025. About 5% of vehicles sold in the U.S. this year will be electric. That's according to the Alliance for Automotive Innovation.
After a bumpy summer at American airports, the White House is cracking down on airlines, demanding they be more transparent when it comes to pricing. After a third meeting of the White House Competition Council, President Biden announced a new proposal from the Department of Transportation. Airlines would have to disclose upfront any fees charged to sit with your child, also for changing or canceling your flight, and for checked or carry-on baggage.
They cancel on you, and you have to pay a fee to rebook. Come on, man.
A trade group representing the airline says it already is transparent on that pricing. The Competition Council's agenda, though, extends beyond airlines. The group will also look at lowering or eliminating bank overdraft fees and cell phone carrier termination fees. Stay with us. We're back with a final check of your First Warn forecast in just a moment.
Did you know Tim Michaels said people shouldn't be openly gay in public?
But I think when you bring it out of your house and onto the public street, that's where I differ.
Is that the kind of divisive radical you want as your governor?
At TSR, we transform your old, beat-up concrete into a beautiful, durable surface in one day. Hi, I'm Joey with TSR Concrete Coatings. We specialize in garages, patios, pool decks, basements, and more. We don't just coat over your old concrete. We start by grinding it down, then we apply the base coat and chip and seal it with our own proprietary sealant that will never chip or peel. Our coatings are beautiful, durable, ridiculously easy to clean, and are backed by our exclusive lifetime warranty. Our in-house team is ready to answer any questions that you have before and after the install. And right now on all projects, we're offering 15% off. Call the number shown below or visit our website for your new floor today.
I worked in law enforcement for more than 30 years. I know what it takes to keep our community safe. Mandela Barnes stands with Defund the Police and supports no cash bail that releases dangerous criminals back into our communities. Barnes supports sanctuary cities and spending millions of taxpayer dollars on illegal immigrants. Take it from me, the bad guys belong in jail, and Mandela Barnes belongs nowhere near the Senate.
Senate Leadership Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Have you ever experienced this view? Hi, Andrew Larson here. With Gutter Shutter, you'll never have to experience it again. Please give up this dangerous chore and protect your home's foundation with Gutter Shutter, the strongest, most durable, maintenance-free gutter on the market. Over the past 15 years, my team has installed thousands of maintenance-free gutter systems across South Central Wisconsin. We'd love to come out and show you what Gutter Shutter can do for you and your home, but most importantly, keep you safe and off that ladder. So call today for a free estimate.
Welcome. We're so glad you're here. Looking for one of our most capable Ford SUVs? Okay, great. We've got you covered. Spacious interiors, innovative tech, good looks, and a legendary off-road experience. Check out our inventory today, or let us help you place a custom order. Getting into the perfect Ford SUV? Well, it's easier than ever. Yeah, we've got you covered. Now choose FlexBuy on a 2022 Ford Escape, Edge, or Explorer and get 0% financing for 66 months.
Did you know Tim Michaels wants to criminalize abortion, even for pregnant rape victims?
But are you going to support exceptions for rape or incest?
That's correct.
Is that the kind of divisive radical you want as your governor?
Finally tonight, take a look at this. NASA released these new spectacular images of a spiral galaxy from the James Webb telescope.
The galaxy, a little over 29 million light years away from Earth, has a diameter of around 66,000 light years, making it a little larger than the Milky Way. And those images just keep coming. Sensational every time. Let's go to Julian. Final check of our forecast. Julian?
Well, the good news is we will start to see better conditions by the time we get into the back end of the work week. The bad news is we are looking for some chilly nights ahead until we get into our Thursday afternoon. But this weekend is finally, if it holds out, it's going to give us some sunshine and pretty mild temperatures as we'll be into the upper 60s. Heading into next week, still a dry stretch ahead, and those 60s look to hold firm for us. So pretty good news for the long run, but until then, it's going to be on the chilly side, guys.
All right, we're back in 30 minutes for News Tree Now at 6. Stay tuned now for the CBS Evening News.